The first human literature of th world, the Rig Veda of the Hindus, is dated around 5000 BC. It refers to River Sarasvati, which flowed once in India and joined the Arabian Sea. Satellite images have confirmed that River Sarasvati existed, and there have research papers stating that a civilization flourished on the banks of the River Sarasvati.Please read my posts on this. Now there are research papers quoting the Rig Veda, and the recent archaeological evidence state that there existed another river from the Himalaya also joining the Arabian Sea. Satellite images have confirmed that River Sarasvati existed, and there have research papers stating that a civilization flourished on the banks of the River Sarasvati.Please read my posts on this. Now there are research papers quoting the Rig Veda, and the recent archaeological evidence state that there existed another river from the Himalaya also joining the Arabian Sea. And there were urban settlements, numbering around 800. And the same research also states that the Rig Veda has also been speaking of this landmass culture, and adds that the Hindus lived even 50,000 years ago practicing Sanatana Dharma. So, the scientists noticed that it appeared to be older than the European cultures. Since the European languages were related to the Indian language Sanskrit of the Vedas, that could only mean that the European peoples had to have come out of India somehow and then gone to Europe with their languages that differentiated into Russian, English, Spanish, German and the rest of them. The European investigators didn't like that idea because it would have given the Vedic culture a position superior to their own. So, these early cities in the Indus Valley like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro have been identified by archaeologists such as Richard Meadows and others as being non-Vedic. They think the Vedic culture came into India maybe 3500 years ago. Isn't that inconsistent with the concept of the Vedas of the Krishna character who comes and says the universe is teeming with life and appears to have knowledge about other habitations in the cosmos and is talking from an age that would go back at least 9500 years? In these ancient Sanskrit writings, there is no hint at all that the culture came from anywhere else. And if they are the prime source and if the Vedic literature can be taken literally, then it implies that there were cities there inhabited at least several thousand years ago. Yes, and there has been other research going on in that area. For example, the RigVeda, which is one of the earliest Vedic literatures, talks about a mighty river called the Saraswati that flowed from the Himalayan mountains down to the Arabian Sea, down in that area of northwestern India. And such a river doesn't exist there today. So, what happened is that people thought therefore the RigVeda cannot be talking about India. It has to be talking about some other place outside of India where there was some kind of river. But what happened that is quite interesting a few years ago is that archaeologists in India started studying the satellite photographs from American satellites like Landsat had been providing, and they noticed there was a dry river channel that began up in the Himalayas, a huge river that went down almost to that bay of Kambat, Kam Bay, we are talking about, the location of the underwater city site. And then later, they found that on the banks of that river there were 800 to 1000 urban sites. Archaeological sites. So, it does appear that what the RigVeda was talking about, a mighty river lined with cities in India over 5000 years ago, that has to be true. The last time that river had water in it was over 5000 years ago. Is there a possibility that there could have been some sort of non-human cohabitation on the continent of India, let's say 50,000 years ago, that could explain all of the Vedas? Yes. In Kashmir, the valley of Kashmir, it appears it was many years ago a lake. Now, there is an ancient Sanskrit manuscript that tells of a lake that existed in that area, so that account is there in some ancient writings. Now, according to modern geological reporting, about 40,000 years ago Kashmir was indeed a lake in the valley of Kashmir in northern India. It was covered by a huge lake and it was blocked on the southern end by a little range of mountains. And at a certain point, something happened and it broke open and the lake drained out. That happened about 40,000 to 50,000 years ago. So, it is interesting that you've got this ancient historical record that talks about this lake. And if it is to be taken literally, then it means that somebody must have seen this lake as it existed 50,000 years ago and wrote about it. Sources: Forbidden Archaeology https://ramanujablog.in/2014/04/28/Hinduism 50,000 years old RigVeda/